Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever the hell you guys are located in this crazy world that we live in. And it's only going to get crazier. That's only truth speaking. My name's Al Ditton. I'm with Underground Noise Webzine. You're here with Webisode number 55. I'm here tonight with the one-man band himself, Fetal Embalment, better known as Brenden Jackson. Welcome, Brenden. How you doing
Thank
today?
you. I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm great, thanks, and you're welcome. I'm glad you could be a part of this show tonight.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Before we were discussing t-shirts, so I decided to wear my Fetal Embalment t-shirt to support Brenden here, and he's wearing his Deeds of Flesh shirt, and I made a comment as to how cool his Deeds of Flesh shirt is, so I can definitely admire that.
Yeah, that your shirt's awesome too, man.
Awesome. Well, the first question I would like to ask you is what sparked your interest in music?
Well, I've my whole life I've been a metalhead, just constantly trying to find heavier music as I've gotten older, and the band that really turned me on to death metal was Cannibal Corpse. The very first time I heard their album Butchered at Birth, I was instantly hooked. It's like, this is brutal. I dig it. This is heavier than anything I've ever heard before. Because I grew up listening to like Metallica, Pantera, Megadeth, Disturbed, a lot of that stuff. And then I discovered death metal. I'm like, holy shit, this is a lot more brutal than what I was listening to.
That's really amazing. I can relate to that. One of the first bands that I heard was Mortification. Then I heard Cannibal Corpse as I got into high school.
Hell
Then
yeah, man.
Deicide and Suffocation and stuff like that. So
All
I can
great
definitely
bands.
relate to that. Absolutely. The second question I would like to ask you are, who are your influences?
I got a lot of influences. I'll name you a few. I'd have to say Internal Bleeding, Gorgasm, Flesh Grind, Putrid Pile, um, Splattered Cadaver, Early Cannibal Corpse, Suffocation. I got so many influences, man. It would take me all day to name them all, but that's just a few.
Yeah. Is Blood Soaked happen to be one of them?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Great
that,
shit.
that dude's amazing too.
Peter's awesome.
Yeah, you guys are one of a kind doing this one man band thing. I'll tell you. I don't
Oh
know how
yeah.
you guys do it, but keep it going, bro.
Lots of hard work and dedication and discipline.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can imagine. Takes a lot of work for sure.
It does.
The third question, sorry, I'm still trying to think here. My third question for you is where have you played recently?
I played at a small club in Denver a couple weeks ago. And before that, I played in Tampa, Florida for Tampa Death Fest. I opened the third night. Got to open for Corrupted Saint, which was really cool.
I'm not familiar with Corrupted Saint. How do they sound?
They're death metal.
That's cool.
They got more like a melody to their music, but they got the occasional slam riffs here and there.
Right on. My next question for you would be what kind of guitar do you use?
I play an ESP, the EX50 model,
Is that a six string or seven string?
six string.
That's cool. I have a BC Rich Warlock that I use for my
Oh,
sound.
sick. Those
Yeah,
BC Riches are awesome too.
yeah, they definitely are. This one's a Kerry King Warlock.
Oh, sick. Even better.
Yeah, so it definitely adds some punch to the wrists, that's for sure.
Yeah, it does.
What gauge strings do you use?
I used Dario heavies, which are 12 to 54. 12 being the thinnest, 54 is the thickest.
That's really cool.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. How often would you suggest somebody change their guitar strings that plays guitar?
I to be honest, I don't really change them as often as I probably should, but typically I say maybe once every couple months or so, depending on how much you play. For me personally, like I like to change them like once at least every 3 months
That's fair. I haven't
or
changed mine
before
in about
playing a
six.
big gig or something.
Yeah, it's always good to go on stage with a set of fresh strings.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's none better than that because it gives it that, edge and the chainsaw effect, kind of, sort
Yeah,
of.
it just makes it sound so much better.
It's just rich with flavor and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. Are there any bands that you haven't shared the stage with that you would like to share the stage with?
I'd really like to share the stage with Devourment. Dehumanized would be cool. Gorgasm would be really cool to share the stage with. And another big one is Putrid Pile. Definitely want to share the stage with him one of these days.
That would be a cool show to see. If it was that lineup
Wow.
right there, I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Hell yeah, man.
And you're in
Hopefully
Colorado,
one day.
correct? What's
Yep,
that?
Colorado.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you
Oh
saying?
no, you're good, man.
Yeah,
Oh, I forgot.
that's okay. Yeah,
And
I used
yes,
to,
I'm from Colorado, Johnstown area.
yeah, pretty populated area.
What's that?
Is it a pretty populated area?
It's a smaller town, but it's grown within the last 20 years that I've lived here. Like a lot.
I can imagine. How
It
is the
started out.
music scene?
What's that?
How is the music scene over there?
In Johnstown, there's not a whole lot of metal. Most of the music scene is mostly country folks, country fans. But for like death metal and metal, got to go down to Denver.
So,
That's about an hour from where I live, but I never mind the drive.
hey, that's cool. As long as you can get out and enjoy a show, man, more power to you.
Absolutely. I go to a lot of shows.
What was the last show that you attended?
Last show was Internal Bleeding at HQ with Jungle Rot back in June.
I bet that was a pretty sick show.
Yeah, it was awesome. I actually saw them twice on that tour. They played in the Springs as well, which I was at that show too.
Oh, nice.
So it was awesome get to see them twice on that same tour.
I could imagine. I bet they seen your face and like, hey, we recognize him from the previous show.
Yeah, they do. I'm like really good friends with Internal Bleeding now. So
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Chris Pravella, super cool dude. I saw you even interviewed him too, which was really cool.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Really nice guy.
He is. He's very down to earth, extremely humble. Give a shout out to
Absolutely.
Chris Pervelis. How you doing, brother?
Yes.
I wish I could have met you when you came to Atlanta for mass destruction, but I missed out. But that's okay. Maybe another time.
There's always next time.
So, was there any other instruments that you play besides guitar?
So being a one-man band, I do everything. So guitar, bass, drums, and vocals.
Which one would you say is the most difficult to?
Um, Probably the, excuse me, guitar.
Yeah, I dabbled in bass, but it just doesn't look right having a bass around my neck. Plus, the strings are a little too thick for my liking, and it's like, okay, I don't know how to play this.
Yeah, guitar's a little easier for me than bass, but I know them both being a one-man band, but I always prefer to play my guitar.
Have there
But I
been
always
any?
like to add the bass because it just makes music sound better.
That's cool. Have there been any other instruments that you've played with before, like when you were younger?
Um, Piano, keyboard. I fucked around with the banjo a couple times.
How did that work out with the banjo?
It sounded cool. It was fun.
Yeah, I've never really tried to tinker around with a banjo, but I can only imagine what it would be like. I mean, could you imagine writing death metal on an electric banjo if there are such things?
Right?
I mean,
Well,
I'm
there is. death metal on a banjo. It's called bluegrass.
It's funny you say that because that is some fast picking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my uncle, he used to listen to bluegrass, I believe, and I actually could really dig it because as to how fast that tempo was. I'm like, how do they do that?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Must be all that moonshine or something.
Yeah, all that liquor in them gets you going.
You're like, golly, Roger, we got some shine over here. You want some?
Right?
Shoot, that's funny.
I need this whole bottle of whiskey first before I play.
I'd rather have my mountain Dew and my water. Thanks very much.
Same here.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. That's so cool. My next question for you, Brendan, would be what band have you not seen live that you've just thought about your whole life that you've always wanted to see?
Band that I never seen live that I've always wanted to see, I would have to say Suffocation.
Same here. They were supposed to come to Atlanta, but the show got canceled.
Oh, that sucks.
And we all got reimbursed for our tickets. And I was a little bit upset because I was hoping to meet up with Terrence Hobbs.
I bet he seems like a cool dude. I'd love to meet him one of these days.
I interviewed him as well, and he's very, very cool. He's the
Yeah,
only
I
original
saw that
member
interview
left.
too. That was awesome.
Yeah, he's the only original member left, and I'm just like, wow, this is surprising. Everybody
Yeah,
just went other separate ways, Frank retired. Mike's
he
doing
got
his
married
thing.
and then he retired.
Yeah. I wish I could have met Frank, but I
Same.
I know he's still around somewhere in New York City.
Yep.
So that's cool. How many metal bands would you say that there are in your area?
In my area, there's a few, but most of them are down in the Denver area.
That's cool.
One band I saw recently called Lacerated from Denver, which is really good.
Yeah,
They sound a lot like Cannibal Corpse,
like the old school Cannibal Corpse or new school.
more like New School,
That's awesome.
Grinder era.
Yeah, I love Corpse Grinder. He's one of the coolest dudes in the world.
Same here. I've actually seen Cannibal Corpse twice in concert.
That's really cool. I saw them once back in 2009. They played at Northern Lights in Albany, New York with Hatebreed and Hate
Oh,
Eternal.
sick. That's
Yeah,
got to be a good show.
it was fun. It was my first Cannibal Corpse show, and I actually got to meet those guys. So
That's
surprisingly, I
really
got to meet Pat O'Brien, and he's with Hoarder now, from what I
yeah,
understand.
he's in X Hoarder now, which is amazing. I saw X Hoarder too, few last year, end of last year.
That's really cool. I've never seen them live.
I got to meet frontman Kyle Thomas too. He's a really cool dude. Super down to earth.
He looks like he's pretty chill.
He is,
That's
very much
awesome.
so.
It's fun meeting musicians all around the world. They're everywhere.
It is. I've met a lot just being in the scene and going to shows, playing shows, meet a lot of people.
Absolutely. And social network makes it available too.
Yep. Social media presence definitely has made a difference too, for
Yeah.
sure.
We didn't have this stuff back in the 80s when we were kids, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we had those Tandy 1000s where you got to play computer games, there wasn't like internet or anything like that. So,
Oh, before internet.
yeah, we had to find ways to entertain ourselves, but we got bored easily. Nowadays, I don't ever get bored. I always find something to do.
My parents would say the same thing.
I could imagine. If you don't mind me asking, Brendan, how old are you?
I am 22.
That's awesome, dude. Got a long way to go, but keep it
Oh
going.
yeah. It's only the beginning.
I'm twice your age, just about. I'll be 44 in April.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Everything's a stepping stone these days.
Yes, it is. That's a fact.
So you said it was Cannibal Corpse that got you into extreme metal, right? Were there
Yes.
any other bands other than Cannibal Corpse that influenced you to get into death metal or say any other kind of extreme metal?
So Slayer was definitely a start. Cannibal Corpse, Dying Fetus, Suffocation, Skinless, um, Terrorizer was another one, and Broken Hope.
Broken Hope is badass.
Yes, they are. Fucking awesome band.
I've got
I
their
own their first two albums on CD.
yeah, I've got the Bowels of Repugnance on CD and also Loathing.
I have Bowels of Repugnance and Swamped in Gore.
Swamped Gore is a really hard one to find from what I understand.
It is. Some of the albums I've collected, I had to actually go and search them. Like one time I was trying to order Devourment Molesting the Decapitated. I ended up finding it somewhere, the Corpse Gristle edition, which was really hard to find. It's like all the other ones, all the other copies are like $500 on eBay. And I'm like, fuck no, I'm not paying that much for a CD.
That's way too much.
So I was able to get a hold of it for about 20.
That's pretty much highway robbery right there. $500 for a disc.
That's a ripoff.
I mean, I can understand $9, $10, $15, but 500?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's just a ripoff.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Not at all.
Nobody should be doing stuff like that. It's like putting up a Nintendo game from like 1986 and it goes for like $1,000. And you're thinking, there's no way in hell anybody's going to pay that much unless they're extremely desperate to have it in their collection.
Yeah, for real. It's fucked up that people do that, but
Yeah,
people just love money and they'll do anything to get more money.
yeah.
So,
Plus, you got people doing illegal downloads, and people are going to download no matter what.
yeah.
Sometimes digital albums are more important to people, I guess, than the physical copy. But some people like the physical copy or the digital.
I like the physical copy depending on what album it is or what band. There's just some bands or albums that it's like it's worth having in my collection, you know?
Yeah, it's fun to flip through the pages. You need to see the lyric notes and the thanks and all that stuff too.
I love reading through those, dude.
They are fun. There's
They
so many
are.
of them out there, and I was I was just talking today, and I was like, saying, I don't ever expect to have every CD in the world. I'll be happy with whatever I can get, you
Same
know.
here.
So that's amazing, you know. Well, I can't really think of very much other questions to ask you there, Brendan. But do you have any last words for Underground Noise Webzine?
Thank you everyone for the support and stay brutal. Be seeing you out soon.
I'd like to tell you again, Brendan, thanks for giving me a portion of your time this afternoon.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, man.
You're welcome. Is this your first interview?
It is actually, yes.
Awesome. Awesome. I'll upload it to YouTube tonight and then I'll send you the link so you can share
Awesome,
it with
man.
your friends and spread it like wildfire. And before
Hell
I
yeah.
forget, before I
Appreciate
forget,
it.
folks, give your support to Brendan here. He's with Fetal Embalment, the only person behind it, which I think is really sick because one-man bands are doing their thing nowadays and they're hard to find sometimes. So he's a rare gem, you guys. Check him out. Give him some support. Support Underground Noise Webzine. Support your local music scene. Keep your horns up. And most importantly, take care of each other because you never know when it's going to be your last day on earth.